And now I'm going to start the webinar. Good morning. I am Tamika Miller, Vice President of Marketing and Events with the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce. I'm delighted to be here again with you, and we are now getting ready to start our 10:30 session. So with me today, I have Paul Mayer. He is the president of the Shed Group. Paul Mayer is the president of the Shed Group, and he's going to be speaking to you for the next 30 minutes all about how to be totally in the game, how you can be self-aware and have self-discipline while looking for a job. We know that sometimes it starts, with the mind and even more than that. And so Paul is going to walk us through how to have your whole self in the game. So without further ado, I will hand it off to Paul. Thank you.
Good morning, Tamika. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the group today. It's a marvelous session that you've put together, and thank you everyone for attending. I don't know how many of you are out there because I can't see you, you can see me, but I want to thank you for taking the time to listen into this little presentation today. When Tamika asked me to talk about how to be totally in the game during the process of a job transition, I said, yeah, I deal with that on a regular basis. The company that I run, the Shea Group, we are a human resource consulting firm, and we do an awful lot of work in job coaching and counseling and making sure that people that we're assisting are as ready as they can be for their next job campaign. Many times people have not looked for a job in 5, 10, 15, 20 years or more, and they're just not used to interviewing, and the way things have changed with social media and the way questions are asked and a whole variety of things. So having some time to prepare for the resume writing, for the cover letter writing, coming together for the interviews, whether it be in person or virtual now, as many times they are, it's a bit of a stressful time, and at least having some background and some thinking about what you should be doing and preparing for that so you are totally in the game when you get in the game looking for that job. So I have just a few things that you might find helpful. You might want to jot down some of the key words. It's interesting, when I was putting this presentation together, I found that a lot of the key areas that we spend a fair amount of our time in coaching and counseling on have begin with the letter P. The first one is preparation. To be in the game, you need to be prepared. Like any person participating in a sport, getting ready for a game, there's practice that goes on beforehand, whether it be batting practice or running practice or jumping practice or whatever the needs are. You need to practice. So the preparation for getting into this game of interviewing and job searching really is critical in the process. And we've met people who said, no, I'm really ready. I'm ready to go. I put my resume together last night. It looks pretty good. I'm ready to go. Well, we generally find that's not the case. You need to spend a fair amount of time soul searching, getting your thoughts together, putting it down on paper, making sure that your resume does really indicate who you are, that it's factual, that it's to the point, it's clear, it's easy to read, it's enjoyable to read, because many times your resume doesn't get a lot of time in front of a person who's reading it. If a person is reading it, sometimes they're electronically scanned today. So unless you have the right buzzwords in there or the right phraseology or the right information that a company is looking for, it might get scanned out and you'll get a thanks but no thanks letter when they didn't even really spend a lot of time looking at it. If you have too many lines and graphs and charts and colorful images on your resume, that also could get it bounced out of the electronic scanning system early on as well. And once again, you might get a thanks but no thanks letter when in essence, you really weren't even reviewed for the process because your resume didn't meet the criteria that the electronic scanning system was set up for. So just some thoughts to help you be prepared. Make sure your resume is current today, that it's readable, it's factual, it's to the point, it's not overloaded with too much information, that in fact the type size is readable. Sometimes people try to get a lot more on the 2 pages of their resume, so they use smaller type. And that's very difficult to read. And that, in fact, could be a sign that somebody doesn't want to read your resume if it's just too difficult to read. So the preparing is very important. Preparing a cover letter also is very important because The cover letter is somewhat like the foreword of a book. It's a small portion of the book. A cover letter is a small portion that precedes your resume getting read, and it needs to be to the point, concise, clearly written, and really focuses on the job that you're applying for. You don't need to use the I, me, and my in a cover letter because the cover letter is all about you. So simply state in your cover letter, I'm applying for the position of whatever that title may be, and I feel I'm qualified for this position. And jot down a few things, maybe 2 or 3 sentences worth. Ask for an opportunity to meet with the person and close it. Doesn't need to be long, doesn't need to be a page long, maybe a third of a page, maybe half a page is certainly sufficient, but it has to be concise and to the point. And that preparation will hopefully then get you to the point where you'll either be asked for a virtual interview on Zoom or one of the electronic devices, or maybe even come in for an interview. So the preparation is key to get you to that next point, because the next point is going to include the next part of it, which is the presentation. How do you present yourself? Are you clear? Are you aware? Are you really prepared to handle an interview? Are you ready, willing, and able to talk about yourself in the most positive terms? We meet people on a pretty regular basis. They say, well, I don't really like to talk about myself. Well, during an interview, that's a perfect opportunity to talk about yourself. And that's what you're expected to do. The interviewer wants to hear about you. They'll ask questions that hopefully will give you an opportunity to talk about your accomplishments, the things you've done, your education, your experiences, whatever it might be. And then you need to be said, okay, here's what I'd like to say about that question you asked me. So the preparation is key. The presentation is key. How do you come across? Do you have good eye contact? Do you talk too much with your hands? Is your speed of speech too fast or too slow? All those things. And that's the type of thing that requires the next P, which is practice. Now that you've prepared and now that you've got your presentation set, you need to practice that. We meet a lot of people who don't practice and they don't do a very good job. I mentioned to many people, if you were a golfer, wouldn't you practice your golf swing? If you were a ice skater, wouldn't you practice your ice skating moves or whatever it might be? And they all say yes. Well, why wouldn't you practice your interview skills? Sit down with somebody, have them ask you questions and answer those questions, and do it out loud. Don't do it just by yourself or with a mirror and say, okay, well, I think I got it. I know how to do it. No, you need to say the words. You need to be able to hear what you say, how it comes across. You might even want to videotape yourself so that you can see what you look like when you're talking and how your voice sounds and the way you present yourself. Because that practice is going to carry tremendous dividends for you when you do it correctly. If you don't do it well, you might find yourself not getting further than that first interview, or that interview might even be cut short because you're not really interviewing very well because you really haven't practiced. So all the things that lead up to that practicing are so very important. You want to make sure you say what you want to say, you're clear with what you want to say, that if you don't understand a question that somebody's asking, you say, would you mind repeating that question? I'm not exactly sure how I should prepare my answer to answer your question. There's nothing wrong with asking for the question to be repeated. One thing I suggest people not say, though, is when somebody asks you a question, if you say, oh, that's a good question. Well, yeah, I asked you that question because it is a good question. You don't have to tell me it's a good question. So just, respond with something like, oh, I'm glad you asked me that because I would like to be able to tell you about this particular circumstance. That's where we feel that the opportunity for people to be good storytellers about themselves comes into play. If you can tell a story about yourself, of what you've done, an accomplishment that you've had, and do it in a very enjoyable, believable, to the point way, that makes the job for the interviewer that much easier because they want to be able to learn more about you, the entire person. They don't want to just interview a robot. They don't want to interview somebody who's so practiced and so prepared that they're not believable. You're a person, and people want to hear about you. They want to hear about what you have to say, what you've done, how you've accomplished things. What did you find out about life by doing these things? Where have you been successful? Where perhaps have you might not been as successful as you would like, but in fact, you're going to learn from that experience and become better even more down the road. So it's a case of practicing comes together to make sure, in fact, that you really are going to be using your time well. You're going to be using the time of the interviewer well. And in fact, that time well spent will then lead you on to your next interview, or maybe even onto a job offer, which is ultimately what you're looking for. So we have the preparation, we have the presentation, we have the practice. You need to then be patient. All too often, we hear from the people that we're serving and our clients that we have that they've applied for a job and they haven't heard anything, or they've been brought in for an interview, or they had a Zoom interview and they haven't heard anything, or they've had 2 or 3 interviews and now they're not hearing anything. Why aren't they getting back to me? Why haven't they just told me whether I'm going to be interviewed some more, or they don't want me to come back? Just give me some update. Well, I don't have a reason for why that happens. It's just, I know people are very busy. There are a lot of things going on. And unfortunately, you want to get the information back very rapidly, but maybe the people that are doing the interview are having trouble scheduling interviews, or having difficulty getting people in for the next interview round, or they might be out sick, or whatever the case may be. But there you are waiting for an answer because you did a great job with your interview, and now you want to get the next call back to say, when can I start? Or when can I come for my next interview? So being patient is so, so important, because you can really get yourself very worked up and very upset and very annoyed, and almost to the point of nervousness where you can't really think clearly. So just be patient. What can I do while I'm waiting? Are there other things that I can focus on? Can I look at other opportunities? I've had people tell me, well, I've had a great interview and I'm not going to do any other interviewing because I know I'm going to get that job. Well, sometimes that doesn't work out. Even though you had a great interview and you might have been a terrific candidate and they liked you, sometimes things happen in companies where budgets change or activities change, and maybe they're not going to hire that position right now, or maybe ever, because of a change. So, the world is in a changing mode all the time. You can't count on one interview as being the one where you're going to get the job. You need to have other irons in the fire and other things that you're looking for during the process. So you need to utilize that patience that you have. And sometimes it means you have to do other things, maybe become more physically active, volunteer for organizations to fill up the time, and just be very, very clear that it's going to take time. I know it's going to take time, and I can't rush the process. Sometimes if you're not patient and you call back too often, or you write too many emails back, sometimes it could make a candidate look like they're desperate for a job. And hiring managers generally don't want to hire people that are desperate. They want to hire people that are very qualified and skillful for their job. So keep in mind, patience is critical during this process of being totally in the game. It'll pay off in many different ways. Another situation, thing that you need to consider is your presence. How do you really carry on in your life during this time of job transition? And this is where the whole notion of being a good networker comes into play. You need to let people know that you're looking for a job, that you've lost your job through no fault of your own. The company reorganized, the company moved, there was a downturn in business, whatever the reason might be. But you're looking for a job, and you're looking for advice from everybody that you possibly can: friends, family members, neighbors, co-workers, people that you volunteer with, whatever the case may be. Because you never, ever really know who knows who, or who knows of a position that might be absolutely perfect for you. So whenever you go to the store, whenever you go to the gym, whenever you go out, whether you go socializing, whatever it might be, let everybody know that you're in the job market. You're looking for a new opportunity. You're looking for people to give you advice as to where you might apply for your next job, what type of work would be available that they know of. Many companies today still have what's called bounty programs, where if they recommend somebody for their company, they might get a cash bonus for recommending that person. So if you let a friend know that, in fact, you're looking for a job and they have a bounty system, they recommend you and you get hired, you get a job, the company gets a good employee, and the employee who recommended you gets a little bonus. Sounds like it's a terrific situation for everybody involved. But you won't know that, and that won't happen unless you tell people that you're looking for work. So sometimes we talk about what's called the 60-second commercial, or some people refer to it as their elevator speech. You want to be able to let people know in 60 or 90 seconds what it is you're looking for, what type of work you've done in the past, what type of work you're looking for. things about you that make you a good employee, and just a real little commercial about who you are to let that person know that, in fact, if they do hear of a job for whatever it is you're looking for, they know who to contact next because, in fact, they've had an opportunity to hear that from you and they learned about your skills and abilities. It might also be very valuable to have some business cards made up that you can keep in your pocket or in your wallet or wherever the case may be, so that if somebody does have a chance to meet you and you talk to them and they say, well, how can I best get in touch with you because I don't have your phone number or your email, you can take out your business card and give it to them. Say, here, just look me up on this and just give me a shout, give me a call. I'd be more than happy to talk to you. And I would genuinely appreciate any assistance or advice you can give me during my job campaign. So you're not being desperate. You're not begging for a job. You're not doing anything aside from letting the world that be and all the people that you know that you're looking for a job and you've got a campaign going and you're doing it in a very professional, very thoughtful, very practiced, and a very practical way. You've got your thoughts together. You're really thinking about it clearly, and you're each day making progress, finding that new position. What we try to do at my firm is to make sure the good people get good jobs at good companies all the time. And the way you can do that, getting a good job at a good company, is being the very best person you can and being prepared for the opportunity to really do the very best job that you can during the interview process. Getting a job is a job in itself, and you have to work at it on a pretty regular basis so that you can get all your skills down and you can work each day to make sure that you're in fact getting the very best opportunities presented to you for that next job. And finally, you have to be persistent. You have to really work at it. You can't just say, well, I'm going to spend a couple hours on it this week and see what jobs are available on a certain job board or the Department of Labor site or whatever the case may be. Now, you really need to dedicate a number of hours each day to networking, to looking on job boards, to refining and revising your resume as necessary, reaching out to new people, doing some research on companies, because you want to make sure that if you do go in for an interview, you've got some research about them and what's going on with the firm, so you can ask some very pointed questions of the interviewer when the questioning period is over. Because many times the interview comes to an end when the interviewer says, well, do you have any questions for me? And if you say, no, I don't have any questions, that doesn't really show that you're genuinely interested or you're genuinely prepared for the interview. But if you do say, I do have a question. I was on your website and I saw that you're expanding into different areas, and I'd like to hear a little bit more about the new product lines that you have or how you see the new product being launched next year taking off. At least they know that you did your homework. You thought about the job, thought about the company, and you're genuinely interested in getting that next opportunity and making sure you're the one for the job. The last item that I have here for this list is to know that all this work, all the preparing, all the preparation, all the patience, all the persistence, all those things are going to turn out to be profitable for you. The profit being that you get a job or you get a new opportunity. And it could be the very best job that you've ever had, or it could be one that's just the next opportunity before another one comes down the road. The key, though, is that you want another new opportunity now. You don't want to be out too long looking for a job, because times on a resume where you're not working or doing something might be a signal to the potential new employer that you might not have been looking hard enough, or you might not have been able to secure that new job. So look for the job that's coming down the road and choose one that's really going to be good for you, maybe for the short term, but maybe even for the real long term. And that might be the job that you have for the next 15, 20, 25 years. But that's the profit that you're going to get from it. And during this time, you're also going to help other people. By being a good networker, you're not only going to help yourself, but you're going to be able to meet people and help them, and as they begin their job campaign or as they continue in their job campaign, because again, they haven't been fortunate enough to meet you just yet. And once they do meet you, that's going to be a very positive thing, because you're going to bring some new skills, new abilities, and some new mindset that's going to in fact help them as they begin their campaign, and they then pass that information on to others. So it's kind of paying it forward in a variety of ways, because you never really know when that next person that you help is going to be able to help you down the road. And you can share that experience and give each other that assistance as you go forward. There's an old saying that goes, prior planning prevents poor performance. Prior planning prior planning prevents poor performance. The planning that I talked about early on and the preparation and the practice is all part of that, because if you do those things early on, the chances of having a good interview, an effective opportunity to get your message across, to let people know in the interview setting or even in your network groups who you are and what you do and how in fact you can bring value to the company and bring value to the relationship that you're developing with them is so very key. I know it seems simple and it does take some time to do it, but it's one of those things where you really have to work at it on a regular basis, be consistent with what you do, be open to helping other people, be open to getting feedback and to be getting some, not criticism as much, but as suggestions as to how you might do things better. I know we all have a tendency to think that we're doing things pretty well, and that's generally the case. But there's sometimes where we can do things better. We can present ourselves more in a more positive way, maybe a more professional way. We can look at things in a different way. We can be a bit more open-minded. And maybe we can even learn some new things by talking to others that we haven't had a chance to talk to before. So I think that's one of the additional values of getting involved in networking groups, so that you can in fact meet new people and have a new experience and a new opportunity to learn new things that you never even thought about before and never even considered. By becoming a volunteer with local community organizations, you'll also meet new people that you might not have ever had a chance to meet before, learn about what they do in their organization, and many times you'll meet people that are employed by other companies and they might be looking for other people to join their organization as well. So being totally in the game means you're totally out there, that you're really making yourself available. You're letting the world know that you're looking for a new opportunity, that you're ready, willing, and very able to take on a new job, that you're open-minded to a lot of things, that you have a new sense of urgency in your life because you're not just going to the same place every day and doing the same job. You're out there every day trying to find a brand new opportunity, one that'll give you the rewards that you're looking for, the challenge you're looking for, and additionally, the purpose that you're looking for in life. Because we all have a purpose in life. We all have to do something that's of value to us. And it's more than just a job. Sometimes finding jobs with not-for-profit agencies is a very, very, very positive thing to do, and it gives you new purpose in your life as well. So helping others that are less fortunate than us and helping others who can use our assistance from time to time is a great way to instill more confidence in you, let you know that you've got even more skills, and certainly at the same time help other people who could use your help. So that's the process. My company, the Shea Group, we're based in Shelton, Connecticut. We're always open to assist people and to talk with people and to get new ideas and thoughts about how we can help them. If you wanted to contact me and talk a little bit more about this, I'd be more than happy to do that. My email address is pmayer, M-A-Y-E-R, at Schegg, S-C-H-E-G-G group.com. pmayer at scheggroup.com. I believe they're going to post my information on one of the job boards here to kind of bring that all together. But feel free to give me a call. My best number is my mobile phone, 203-645-6070, 203-645-6070. We are a small business, veteran-owned company based in Shelton, Connecticut, and we're looking to help people as they get into their transition and find their new way and learn new things. We hold a networking group every Monday morning at 9 a.m. It's on Zoom, so we can talk. And if you wanted to find out more about that, please give me a call or drop me a note, and we'll give you the meeting ID number so that you can join into the Zoom meeting. And I guarantee you, just by attending the Zoom meeting, your network will be expanded by 20, 25 people in one day, because that's how many people you'll meet on the Zoom call. They're all there looking to do the same thing. They're looking to meet new people, share their experiences, talk about themselves, let them know what they have to offer, and also help other people who might be able to be assisted by the experiences that you've had and the people that you know in the company that you've worked for as well. The key to it is also then, once you do find a job, continue networking. We meet a lot of people who, in fact, worked for many, many years. They were working hard, working 40, 50, 60 hours a week and being very busy, and they didn't keep up their network. And now that they're looking for a job, they are kind of lost as to who and what they should be doing. Want to make sure that your LinkedIn page talks clearly about what you are, and that your LinkedIn page is a direct reflection, almost a mirror image of your resume, because recruiters and headhunters today are looking at your LinkedIn page probably even before they talk to you, because they want to learn about you. So if your LinkedIn page is up to date, you've got a good picture of yourself, you talk about your experiences, what you do and what you've done on there in a very positive way, I think that's a great thing to do, and make sure that your resume and your LinkedIn page are really up to date on a regular basis. So Tamika has asked me to make sure that when this session is over, you leave the session and then you log out, and then register back in again at the WOVA page to make sure that you're eligible to get into the next session. So I just wanted to mention that to make sure that we have the right format for when this session comes to a close. I'm not sure if I can see if there's any questions for me on here. I'm looking on the chat page, but I don't see any questions. But if you do, I think they posted my my email address up there, pmayer@shegroup.com. Please drop me an email. Let me know any questions you have, or if you'd like to have a one-on-one conversation, I'd be more than happy to do that with you, to see how I could be helpful and to be a guide perhaps as you're going forward on your job campaign. One thing I wanted to mention also about doing mock interviews: if you do mock interviews with a friend and family, don't just pick somebody that's going to tell you, oh, you're doing good, you're looking great, everything is fine. No, you want to do a mock interview with somebody who's going to give you the straight information back and say, okay, no, you need to change this, you need to answer this a little bit differently, so that you can get some good guidance and direction in your mock interviewing skills, rather than just somebody saying, oh, you're really great, when in essence you really might not be. So I wish you all the very best as you continue on your job campaign. Know full well that it's a job in itself. Many people say that the difference between networking and not working is just one letter. Interesting. The difference is only one letter between networking and not working. So if you network, chances of you working probably are much better, because there's a whole hidden job market out there as well that many times is not posted on the classified sections or on job boards, and that people only hear about once they talk to somebody at a company where in fact they might be hiring. So consider that as a situation that you'd want to be involved with, so that in fact you can contact with other companies and other people, so they can tell you about jobs that they might know about that might not have been posted just yet. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for me. I think we're coming to the end of the allotted time here of 11 o'clock. I hope this has been helpful to you. Please don't feel alone when you're out there and you're in a job search and a job campaign. There are a lot of people out there who are very willing to help, a lot of people who are very able and skilled at giving advice and counsel to people that are in a job campaign. So let people know that you're out there. Ask for some advice, ask for some guidance, give some help in return to others that you might be able to assist in their job campaign. And I know that jobs are out there. The economy is changing. It's getting stronger again with the vaccines coming along. I think we'll see some good things happening. So be patient, practice, be prepared, and be ready to go. And I know the profits of a new job are on their way to you. All the very best to everyone. And I hope you have a wonderful day and a successful job campaign. Thanks very much. Bye for now.